Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing a project featuring some new products from Pinkfresh Studio. This is part of their May 2022 release. It's got dies, it's got stamps, and it's got hot foil. So you know I was going to grab some of the hot foil products and use those for my project today. I'm giving you a quick look at all of the products included in the release, and then we'll jump into the project. And I am going to be using that stained glass hot foil background cover plate that I just showed you a couple products ago to create a gorgeous background, simple card, and add a little bit of selective heat embossing to this pattern as well. So I'm starting out with my hot foil plates. I'm also going to use the Modern Script Sentiments hot foil plate. This is also brand new for the May 2022 release. And I'm going to be using my Gemini FoilPress to do my foiling today. So I'm starting out by turning on my FoilPress and setting it to the medium heat. The FoilPress actually does have multiple heat settings. And I am placing my plate with the design facing up on the platform of the FoilPress. Then I'm going to add my foil with the pretty side facing the design and my cardstock. Now today for my cardstock and oftentimes for my foiling, I use the Hammermill 100-pound super smooth white cardstock, and I'm going to finish my sandwich off with the plate that comes with the foil press. Now I like to set my timer for about a minute, and once that timer goes off, there will be an audible beep. Then I'll remove the platform from the base and run that through my Gemini Junior to press that foil into the cardstock. And you can see I got perfect results. Now I'm going to save that foil because I'm going to use it along with my solid hot foil plate from Pinkfresh Studio to create additional backgrounds. But I wanted to show you, I actually did a lot of foiling all at once. I used not only the Hammermill super smooth white cardstock, but also some antique ivory cardstock. And I used a couple of different foil colors. I used the champagne glimmer foil as well as the blush glimmer foil. And this is the combination that I ended up using for today's card. It has the blush foil on the antique ivory cardstock, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Now I'm going to do a lot of foiling with these sentiments as well so that I have a bunch of sentiments to use on various cards. This blush foil, or this, it is blush. This blush foil and the champagne foil are foil colors that I use often. And so those are the colors I decided to use when doing all of my foiling today. And I'm going to have a ton of sentiments because once again, I use not only white cardstock, but ivory cardstock for all of this foiling. And you can see I just went to town. Here is a look at some of the images that I created using that leftover foil and my solid hot foil plate from Pinkfresh Studio. And you can see the negative image of the sentiments as well. So tons of sentiments, tons of foiling. I had a lot of fun. But let's turn this into a card. So I'm going to start out with the sentiments, and I am lining up the coordinating one-piece die, and I'm going to run this through my Gemini Junior and die cut all of these sentiments at once. Now, all of these sentiments kind of stayed stuck in the cardstock, but I wasn't sad about that because it kind of helps me keep them all together and not have them spread out all over my surface. But you can see here what all of these sentiments look like die cut. I love a delicate die cut foiled sentiment like this. I think it is such a beautiful addition to any card. Now here's a look at the colors of ink that I will be using with the coordinating stained glass layering stencils. They coordinate with this gorgeous hot foil plate. And there is also a die in this product suite as well. And I'm going to start off with the Ballet slipper ink and ink blend all over the largest openings of this stencil. So the stencil will kind of block off the little diamonds and allow you to single those out and add various colors to this background. So I'm starting with a light wash of this Ballet slipper, and it's kind of hard to see here in the video, but when I lift it up, it really is just a beautiful wash of color, and that antique ivory base, that cardstock base that's ivory, really does kind of warm up this Ballet slipper ink, which can tend to be a little on the cool side. So I love the results of this ink blending on that antique ivory. So there's a look at it there. Now I decided I wanted to add some variation in this color. So I am replacing that stencil number 1. And by the way, I am using magnets to hold all of these stencils in place on my glass mat. I have a link to my glass board studio mat in the YouTube description, and you can use the code Carissa20 to save 20% off. So I added a little bit of peach fuzz to the tops of those large open areas. And now I am ink blending some coral reef ink into the large diamond shapes on this background pattern. And then finally, I'm going to place the last stencil, and in the smallest diamond shapes, I am going to ink blend a pretty heavy hand of this Tidal Pond ink. Now, this is gorgeous, but I thought it would be really cool to make those Tidal Pond colored diamonds kind of look like jewels. So we're going to use the stencils that coordinate with this background, and we are going to create some selective heat embossing. Now, before I do my heat embossing, I want to make sure all of the other ink is dry. So I hit this background with my heat tool, and now I'm adding a generous layer of embossing powder tool to the background, and I'm going to replace that final stencil over my image. Now, I should mention that I went ahead and wiped off all the extra Tidal Pond ink that was already on my stencil. And once I replace that, I am going to take an ink dauber tool or an ink blending sponge and take some Versamark ink and just press that into the openings of the stencil. So this is only applying Versamark ink into those small diamond areas where we previously blended the Tidal Pond ink. So once I remove the stencil, this is going to leave me with just that clear sticky embossing ink over the selected areas. Now you could do this with the larger diamonds instead, or even the large open areas that I did my very first blending on. That's totally up to you. And you can use this technique with floral images as well. If you want to add some clear, shiny accents to floral ink blending, you can do that as well. So don't just kind of keep this in your mind for like this geometric type background. You can use this in so many ways. And you can see as I heat emboss those smaller diamonds, I melt the embossing powder, I get this beautiful shine. But I wanted to add even more shine and more dimension to that embossed area. So I am doing that process again. I'm prepping the surface with my powder tool. I replaced that third stencil over my pattern, and I'm pressing the Versamark ink in through the openings of the stencil and adding my clear embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat set that. And that just gives it even more dimension. I did want to mention also, I am not using a super fine embossing powder here. If you use a super fine embossing powder and you want more dimension, you may have to add a third layer, but by using a regular grind embossing powder, I'm automatically going to start with a little more dimension than a super fine embossing powder would give me. And you can see the shine of those diamonds there and the foil. I think this is absolutely gorgeous and very Art Deco inspired, which I absolutely love. Now, overall, I'm going to keep this card kind of simple, but I wanted to add a little bit of leavery. I was going to say greenery, but they're not green. So anyway, I die cut some of the curvy leaves from Pinkfresh Studio from some vellum. And then I am adding this sentiment, which comes from the new Modern Script Sentiment hot foil plate, which is also available in a stamp as well. So if you're not a hot foil fan, you can pick up the stamp instead. I added that sentiment, which I stacked up with 3 plain white die cuts behind it to give it some dimension to this foiled diamond, which was released earlier this year. I absolutely love these basic shapes that Pinkfresh is releasing in the hot foil plates because they make such gorgeous, simple accents for the card. And you can see I just layered all that up with the vellum leaves, attached it to my card front, and that completes my card for today. This is such a simple design, but it is so beautiful, and I absolutely love the way it turned out, and I love this new stained glass hot foil plate from Pinkfresh Studio, along with those Modern Script sentiments. I think they're going to be winners and so versatile in my craft stash. Now, this project is a part of a blog hop celebrating the new Pinkfresh Studio May 2022 release. So if you want more information on that, go ahead and go to the link in the YouTube description. Head on over to my blog. There's information on the blog hop and some giveaways. You don't want to miss it. Pinkfresh Studio is super generous in their giveaways. And if you are looking for links to the products featured in this project, be sure you check the YouTube description. I have those all listed out for you there. As always, thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.